Welcome to Holistic Wellness Beauty. I am your host, Dr. Crystal, and my special guest this evening is Ashanti Harris, the chef in Heelz. Ashanti is a passionate chef and natural herb user on a mission to educate young people on the importance of healthy eating and cultivating healthy habits in their family. With Ashanti, the chef in Heelz, we'll talk about learning how to grow the food that we need to thrive and make healthy eating a part of our lifestyles. So everyone, please like, share, subscribe this podcast, and help me welcome Ashanti Harris, the chef in Heelz. Hey everybody, welcome back to Holistic Wellness Beauty. And my special guest tonight, like you just heard, is Ashanti Harris, the chef in Heelz. Welcome, Ashanti.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. And there are so many people that want to know about healthy eating, how to transition into healthy eating, most of all, how to incorporate your family, especially when you have young ones. So I know that you have a lot to say in those categories, but I first want to ask you what sparked your love for cooking? I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, it actually is because that is where my journey started, like with cooking. I have those fond memories of cooking with like my mom and my grandmother in the kitchen, but I can't say that it was like a first love for me, like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. I definitely had different aspirations all around, like helping and healing people, but different things. I actually, what started it was I got pregnant, starting my own family, and just in that, what we call it, that nesting stage.
Mhm.
Um, my son's dad had a lot of like friends over and family over all the time, so I found myself just like always like wanting to make people like comfortable, and make sure that they had a great time when they came over to the house. So like that, that's really kind of what got me started into my cooking and baking was simply that. I was just at home pregnant and hungry all the time. um, and so furthermore, like I know I wanted to be able to give my kid, the best life. And that started with, nutrition from in the womb and, like what they ate as a child. And so I wanted to be really intentional and pure with what I did, with that, especially it being like my first kid, just, really just like overthinking everything. Um, and so it wasn't really something that came together for me until later, after my son was born, a few months after my sister passed away. And just in that stage of like being in between life and just, figuring things out and healing, a commercial came on for La Cordon Bleu, and I mean, as cliche as it was, I was like, oh wow, like that might be something I could do. And I went to the school when this was when they were here in Dallas. They since closed down, but I went to the school and I was in school like 2 weeks later, and it was just something that really like changed my life and changed the journey of where I was actually going in my life. Before that, I had been a nanny and owned a daycare for a few years actually, and so cooking was definitely way different than anything I had ever done. But just that just that wanting to know the ins and outs of food and wanting to give my son the best is honestly what started that journey for me. And then just like I said, just circumstances, it really was just like a domino effect, and it really just happened to work in my favor. Almost standing here 10 years later, so.
So let me ask you, I know that for myself and for a lot of people that I talk to, when we begin to transition over into like a different lifestyle, especially a healthier lifestyle, sometimes our family members and even our friends can kind of maybe misunderstand or not understand
Mhm.
why why we take this journey or um, sometimes it can make us feel alienated
Mhm.
because we almost don't have the same conversation that we had before, or we don't celebrate the same and all the things. Did you go through that? What was that like for you?
I feel like I'm going through that now, especially my family. My mother has always been, kind of holistic. I mean, growing up, she had us drinking like noni juice and all kind of crazy stuff that like 12, 13-year-olds just weren't doing. And so I've always been kind of exposed to it. But I feel like I'm going through that now actually with just the way that I'm moving and kind of like veganizing my family. Thanksgiving, was like one of those prime examples. I was like, well, like, what can I eat? Like I can eat all of it, because I don't have like a certain diet. I'm kind of like a flexitarian, if you
Okay.
will. Still, I know that those times can be challenging, because you want the best, when you've already made up your mind, with your decisions. And so you want the people that you love most to be able to stand with you and next to you. And, most likely you want them to be able to benefit, the same way that you are from what you're doing. But I think the best thing to do is just know that what you're doing is right and stand your ground, and hopefully your light can be a light to them, and then what you're doing can somehow shine on them, and the influence can rub off. It's just kind of how I've just like came to realize about it. So yeah.
So you said something. Thanksgiving, right? Holidays, birthday parties, all the things. And we know that a lot of times when we're dealing with holidays, we're talking about generational activities, generational rituals, generational ways of doing things. Now
Hmm.
you come in and shake it up, right? And you're like, so we don't eat this stuff anymore. And it's the holidays, but we're having a potluck, and everybody's like, what are you going to bring?
Right.
Especially you being the chef.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how does that work in your world?
I mean, I think people always expect for me to bring something amazing,
Mhm.
but like they kind of question it, like if they want me to bring something, they're like, so what you gonna bring this time? Some mushrooms? I think I brought last year. I made fried mushrooms, and actually, it turns out they loved it. They were like, I'm not eating that. I've never tried mushrooms. I'm not eating that. And I was just like, you guys never like just try it. And I fried the mushrooms like you would fried chicken, because people are just that's another thing we gotta talk about. People are obsessed with like imitating, like things. When I just don't get it, because if you're trying to be vegan, just like
Why
bring
pretend?
food. Like, why do you have to like make it be like chicken if you're trying to get away from chicken? But,
Yeah.
I made mushrooms like you would fried chicken, and they loved it. They're all calling me for the recipe later, like, what's the recipe for the fried mushroom?
And then when you say, okay, so we can't use egg and we won't use this and we so it's they're like, well, wait, what am I supposed to do? How do I this is how do you fry something with no egg? How do you fry something with this? That goes back to the generational eating habits, right? And how do we change the mindset of because I know that you this is for me, and I'm sure you can understand. The hardest part is the shifting of the mind, right?
Hmm.
And so we are so, like you just said, conditioned on, I want my mushrooms to taste like chicken, to the fact that we're even using the ingredients that we will use to fry the chicken. So that does that make the mushrooms healthier?
For the effect of the mushroom.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do we work through the generational eating habits and the thought pattern that goes behind that?
It honestly has to be some intentional conversations, to be had. It has to be an individual want and desire, to even be able to receive, that energy, to be able to have those conversations, because a lot of people will honestly try to shut you down just right out the gate, about the situation, on whatever spectrum you're talking about, whether it's eating healthy or trying to meditate, and all of those things like mind, spirit, body are all connected. And I mean, for me, like, so my kids are young, and of course, I've exposed them to all the bad food. So now I'm kind of in that cleanup stage.
Mhm.
So my thing is, like, with my children, I'm just constantly shedding information because I can't, like, just like, just throw it down their throats and be like, you're gonna eat this, I'm gonna veganize y'all, and like, you should never, like, we shouldn't dictate, like, especially if we already expose the kids to it, like, we can give them options, and we can provide more healthier options of things, but you can't just be like, oh, well, you can't eat this. Well, this is what the kid likes, like, and you've exposed that to them. You can't just expect them to change their mind because you've changed your mind. Like, you know, allow them to change their mind on their own if they want to and keep exposing them to it. Um, but it's honestly their choice. But honestly, I feel like this information, the more information that we have about it, the more um, the more deep conversations that we truly have, just the about where the food comes from, what it does to your body and how it makes you feel. And I mean, even if you just have a conversation about that, about, well, you eat that, but how do you feel afterwards? Oh, you feel tired and you feel groggy. Oh, your stomach hurts afterwards. But I mean, that probably means that your body doesn't agree with that. Your body doesn't like that food at all. Like, so you really shouldn't be eating it. Like, I mean, it's definitely conditioning because, especially like for the older people, old ways are hard to change. But most people want to live a long life and they want, to have a prosperous longevity life. So I feel like just those hard conversations are what can, break that down and information, honestly. Because the more like people get like small tidbits of information, even if we feel like they're not listening, a small piece of it may have entered their brain, and they're thinking on it later, and then they hear something else, from something, they hear something else, and all those little bits of information are gonna eventually, I pray, wake them up.
I agree 100% with all that you said, but you said a couple of things that I was in my mind saying, this is what I want to touch on, as she said, and then you end up saying it. The first thing was um, the energy, right? So understanding that everything that we do is an energetic exchange, right? So from the conversations that we have, the information that we take in, what we're watching, what we're listening to, what we're eating, it's all an energetic exchange. And then when we look at it even further, being mindful of how our bodies feel, right? And being able to teach our little people that being able to teach them that they matter, how they feel matters, what they're thinking matters, right? Um, Letting them know that it is okay or it is expected of them to pay attention to why all of a sudden my head hurts or why all of a sudden my tummy hurts. What were the events that happened before my tummy ache? Why do I feel so? And even after you eat, not that you're tired, but I feel droggy, like I feel heavy. These are the things, to teach our little people and how to be mindful with connecting the dots between what I've eaten, what I've watched, what I've listened to, and how that affects my mood, my mind, body, and my spirit. And I think if our mothers come on board, I always have a saying, if we heal the mother, then we heal the family, right? If
Yeah,
we heal the family, we heal the community. So if our mothers are able to teach our little people these little bits of lifetime generational information, then we heal our people, right? We heal our communities through teaching our little people how to listen to their bodies.
sustain themselves, how to grow their own food, and what
Yeah.
water is necessary to drink. Because man, it's just so much vibrationally that we're doing wrong to our bodies. Even like the water that we drink. Just drinking like purified water over spring water, we don't realize, like, I mean, water is water, like if that's all we have at the end of the
Is
day.
it?
But but there is a huge difference. Purified water, I mean, afterwards,
Can you speak up just a little bit, Ashanti? They're saying they can't really hear you much.
so many people, so many of our people, junk is important. But yeah, yeah, so definitely everything is energy, though. I agree with everything that you just said as well. From the things that we watch to the things that we eat, especially the things that we're watching nowadays. They're feeding us in so many negative ways, and the things that we eat, they can simply, add to how erratic our state is or how calm that we are, in our everyday life
Yeah.
versus like all the junk food. Like a lot of people don't know that like a lot of the junk food is actually processed with like arginine red 40, those things in all foods that are pretty much red or directly aligned with pork. They have pork in them. A lot of people are like, I don't eat pork, but they drink, red drinks and they eat red foods, and you're eating pork, but you don't know that. And those are the same foods that cause, cancer and diabetes, and especially in our lineage. In the same sense, they're causing our children to have ADHD, and that's why they're always hyper, and they can't sit down, and they can't focus. I mean, it's all the sugar, and all the additives that we're putting in our body. I've actually, for my family, went to like I said, we're kind of a flexitarian, but I cut out all white carbs, so there's that. There's no like white rice, potatoes, like things like that in my house. We try to do like beta rich foods, and so like sweet potatoes, wild grains, quinoa, things like that. And then so my kids don't always eat like those kind of things. Sometimes I have to like fancy things up a little bit and kind of hide veggies in, which is another way for your kids to take in good vegetables without them really knowing, because sometimes kids are picky, so sometimes you gotta just like hide it in there, but they're like, oh, that was really good. Thank you, baby. Yeah, no, I see. Thank you for eating the veggies.
So Ashanti, I'm going to stop you right there because I love that idea, and I've been doing that since my kids were little, and they're 30 up to 30 now, and I still do it. But I want you to give us like a little cheat code for that. But before I have you do that, we're going to go and talk to our listen, hear from one of our sponsors right now. Okay.
Yeah, but
Today's sponsor is JPC Invites. Are you looking for a one stop shop for all your event needs? Look no further than JPC Invites. JPC Invites is located in the Dallas Fort Worth area. JPC Invites provides full service stationaries across the U.S., from save the dates to custom monogram crest and everything in between. Let JPC Invites create an unforgettable event that reflects your unique vision. Get in touch with JPC Invites today at jpcinvites.com. Ashanti, give us a cheat code on how to hide vegetables. Just
okay,
one or two little tips.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So pretty much like cut things up small, incorporate them if you're doing like meats, like spinach and salad and turkey. Like you're making a burger, I do spinach in my burgers all the time, and they just think it's like decorative or whatever. Um, but yeah, pretty much just like chopping things small, concealing them, like in things that are meat or like muffins are really good, really great ways too. Because I mean they're sweet, but they would never think that you put like veggies, in their muffin. Um,
And I would say when we think about veggies, I would think about more of the mild flavored veggies. Like for me, I
mhm.
think about spinach. I think, well, sometimes spinach can have a really earthy taste, but like Swiss chard, because it's soft in texture, right? And it has a really mild taste. So that's the way I sneak
Yeah,
Swiss chard in everything, especially if you're making something like a sauce, like a spaghetti sauce and things like that, right? A gravy or something like that.
yeah, those are all good things, especially the spaghetti, any kind of sweet sauces. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I eat like a quiche or like an omelet. I'll do like the baked omelets, like mini quiches, and I mean they never know.
I
They
have
never
a
know.
question. This question says, Do you find it hard to have that conversation with your family and your friends?
Um, so for my, I'll just talk about my family that's not so open-minded. Kind of, it kind of depends. It kind of depends. And I mean, honestly, I just have to have those conversations, like with the best intentions and open heartedly, like, and just know that I'm not coming to change anybody's mind. I'm just coming to shed some light. If they take anything from it, then they do. And if not, then that's great too. But, you come in with the intention like change someone's mind is how, killers get hurt. And then, that's it makes it an even harder thing to deal with versus just, coming and thinking you're just gonna shed some light. It's just shedding some of your light.
Yeah, even when you say, so you don't want to hurt their feelings, or sometimes their feelings get hurt, especially when you're coming with the good intentions. If someone's feelings get hurt, it's it's almost like they know the
Yeah, it's like
correct
yeah,
thing to do. They just don't want you to call them out on it.
mindfulness comes in though. Like if they don't practice mindfulness in their everyday life, like they're not, like really, they're not really, answering to the call to themselves. And like when they're presented with it, they're like running from it likely, and that's a personal thing that they have to deal with,
Uh-huh.
with but like that's something that they have to deal with. A lot of people don't want to really confront themselves, or when being presented with something, or the type of person just like deal with it head on. So then they get defensive because, like you said, they know like this is something that they should be doing or something that they should be practicing or listening to. But they'll eventually come around. They'll be calling you like later, like, what was that thing you were talking about? You were trying to tell me how to grow the garden, and you were trying to tell me how to start juicing. And
Yeah. So, um, here's a good thing here. Now, when I think about herbs, because I know that you work a lot with herbs, and I do as well, herbs is a big thing right now, right? It's the fad. Now herbs have been around forever and ever and ever. And what I do know is that, and some people may not know this, the current pharmaceutical business was created from herbs. And then
right,
they started adding all of the things into the herbs, right? Which is now pharmaceuticals. So
which is
herbs was the original healer, right? It was the original medicine. But herbs can be very powerful, and they can also be very dangerous. So when I see how crazy it is right now in the herbal community, and everybody is selling herbs, and everybody is taking herbs and all the herb stuff, I get really nervous for people because herbs can kill just as well as they can heal. What do you think about that?
no, it's true. There's a lot of misinformation out here, and I really
Mhm.
like we just need to be able to research, anything that we see. Like social media has really like taken put a wool over our eyes, and really made us just like trust people and become followers, versus leaders. And so like we really just have to be able to know exactly what we're, doing. Talk to our doctors if we have a doctor, like that actually believes in the medicine, the healing medicine and not just the medicine. Because I mean, you're right, and it's so crazy to me that herbs are not even protected by the FDA, now. But and then so now it's becoming a popular thing, and so now I think they, will probably want to vested interest in it and try to ban us from it, and it's really insane to think about when you think about it like that. But yeah, I honestly I feel the same way that you do. We just really need to be like just safe and just really do your research. A lot of people out here are just like, just trying to make money and they're not really passionate about what they're doing and they're not really invested into the craft of what they're doing, and learning all the ins and outs about, the herbs and the background of it and the history of it and what could be mixed, like what the things can be mixed with each other. There's a lot of science behind it. I'm studying to become a yoga instructor and just like learning the anatomy. I'm sitting up here like it is some deep work. Like it is deep and it is like crazy. like knowing that it's all connected and just seeing like even further, like on levels and levels and levels of how it's connected. I'm just like, wow, this is some real deep stuff. So you really have to just be really conscious about what you're doing out here and know your body and just know when to not partake in something if you're scared and your body and mind telling you not to.
And I always, when I see my patients, I always make sure that I give them the disclaimer of make sure that you have cleared this with your medical doctor, right? I'm not a medical doctor. Make sure that you clear this with your medical doctor. Make sure that you clear this with your pharmacist
Mm-hmm.
because even our medical doctors, sometimes things slip, especially the chemistry of the medication that they're prescribing. So you have to double check with your pharmacist as well to make sure that these medications and these herbs can be taken together, right? Or that you can maybe take one in the morning and take one in the noon or however that works for you. Your pharmacist can be really, really helpful in that area. Um, and also, if you don't feel the trust in your medical doctor, it is okay to get a second opinion. It's okay
Yeah.
to look for someone who understands you know, Western medicine as well as holistic medicine because there are MDs out there that do work in both sectors, right? So that is one of the most important things that I think about when I'm working with patients who are wanting to move over to the holistic lifestyle, but they are still on medications. I never say stop your medication. I never say, any of that. I always just say make sure that your medical doctor and me, your holistic doctor, are all on the same page, right? I'm a metaphysicist. I am not a MD. That's not what I do. So I think that's really important for people to take away if they don't hear anything else, because it can be a dangerous game to play.
It really can be. I mean, even as simple as like the whole ashwagandha thing is, going around real heavy. Everyone wants ashwagandha. Oh, I need energy, and it's just like, yes, but if you have high blood pressure, you should not be taking ashwagandha, especially if you're taking medicine for high blood pressure. You should not be taking.
Yes.
A lot of people don't even know that very small fact. So it definitely can be very dangerous out here. I mean, people are definitely out here killing themselves, trying to be healthier, and that's
Which
you know,
gives us a bad name too.
yeah.
The people, the prescribers of the holistic,
They're on Google. They're like on Google Earth. And I take this. What do I need for some energy?
yeah. So I think those are really good points to think about when we're working with herbs and different things like that. So can you give me an idea of how you use herbs or how you grow herbs or what your relationship to herbs is?
Relationship to herbs right now are I use them. I use them to pretty much create like holistic things in the kitchen, like skincare products and like a blessing oil, things like that around my house. I use them. I mean, common things like bay leaves. I mean, I use them for my spiritual bath. I use them in the house, and mostly like teas. Teas is like my favorite thing in the world right now. So um, I use a lot of herbs in the form of teas as well. So those are mostly the ways that I use, herbs. And I'm wanting to take another herbalist class so that I can become more, more influenced on, everything and deeper in my practice. But yeah, I love using herbs. Before I even really knew that it was a thing, I mean, I've just been kind of just like creating things, within, their own potential. But yeah,
So I love it because herbs for me, I have teas, right, for patients and things like that. But most of my herbs come in a healing form of topical, you know,
mm,
in the topical aspect.
fans. The
Hmm.
power or something to like wrap you with and
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really a huge thing for me. Herbal baths and oils and all of that. I really love that aspect of healing with herbs.
I'm
So,
definitely like go foraging one day. I want to go foraging and go find some real stuff. You know, like that's
uh-huh.
I mean, that's how our ancestors used to do it. Like, I'm all about that life. I want the house with the underground pantry. You know, they have like all the goodies in there, all the medicines. I typically make a lot of our medicines and things like that. I make our own elderberries and our own garlic, you know, turmeric concoctions and just like little different things like that. I'm not a big medicine person, so herbs are really just all that we use to be able to, you know, bounce us back when we get, you know, sick and things like that. So I just love everything about them. They're so beautiful and they're powerful and they're from God.
And it makes you feel so much with the combination of eating, right? The mindfulness and working with the herbs,
Yeah,
especially on your body, you just feel so free and open to God and open to all of the aspects of healing, right? It's like you're open to all the information.
yes, yes. I'm all about accepting all of that information right now. I just want to just soak it all up and just be able to, you know, like translate it for its meaning for me and disperse it.
And make it relatable. I think that's the main thing. Make it plain, simple English because most people are afraid of,
To go into it, and they feel like it's like devilish or something.
well,
Honestly,
they feel that way too, but I think it's the more of the language, the misunderstanding, right?
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
understand something, you become fearful of it.
right,
So because all of this is so traditional from the ancestors, from whatever lineage, right? Whether you come from a Native American family, an African family, there's so many different. Everybody had their own way of healing, but it was all done in a different language.
right.
So I think the language and the translation of the language is what really puts the bad name, so to speak, on a lot of the ancient healing practices.
Yes, I think so too. But that's okay. I feel like a lot of people are waking up right now and they're realizing their potential and they're realizing their power and their heritage. Like they're realizing it and they're willing to continue the work that our ancestors, you know, put in.
Yeah, people are looking for something real,
Something
right?
real. They're looking for something real and tangible because
Yeah.
we've been fed a lot of BS, but they're looking for definitely something real.
So take me on your DIY health journey. I know you talked about, creating your own medicine at home and with all the herbs and your own, body washes and oils and all the things. What was a turning point for you? And I'll let you answer, but for me, it was learning how many chemicals. I have a background in chemistry, right? Chemicals and biology and all the things. And once that clicked in my head, it
I
was
feel
like
like
I couldn't
that.
do it. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm killing my clients, I'm killing myself, all
Yeah,
by what I'm putting on my body and in my body, but a lot of it on my body. Even after my eating habits changed, I was still using a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of the stuff, right?
Yeah,
And then it
those
clicked.
the perfume.
The perfume, the deodorants, right? The lotions, the hair products, the
Yeah,
makeup, and all the things.
yeah.
It
So
clicked one day.
yeah, for me, I was actually working at this restaurant called Chefs on Scene in Prosper. Um, Probably like six. It was woman up six now, so like 7 years ago actually. And the lady, the owner's wife, she was really, really big conspiracy theorist, like huge. Every day she would come into work with a new story. I swear, it was like, you know, the Starbucks logo was this and this was this, and I was like, what? So now I'm not drinking Starbucks no more. And they say it was, you know, do you know Munster? And I was like every day. And so honestly, it's just already kind of being around a group of people that was enlightened, and then being around working there, being around her is literally what woke me up. She'd be in there like showing us YouTube videos. And today we're gonna, this is my first day doing no deodorant. So, you know, if I'm a little fucky guys, you know, just we trying something different. You know, so you gonna do it with me, Ashanti? It was like, I guess. Yeah, yeah. You know, so really just being around them and just her just like really just like exposing things and breaking things down, the brands and the intentions behind the brands. And I was just like, that really is what woke me up, honestly, to like everything. And then I was like, I just want to take back my power. I just want to do everything that I can. Like, if I can make it in my house, I want to make it, and that's what we're going to use. Like, and that's literally how I've been since.
Yeah, that's how most of us start. Um, this is a big one for me. Traveling and
Oh,
staying on course while we're traveling, staying on our diet, even traveling with our homemade oils and our homemade potions that we make for our bodies. I At the airport, it never fails. They're gonna open up my luggage and see what all these bottles, all my tinctures are. And my husband's just like, oh my goodness, but traveling can be difficult with your diet. Traveling can be difficult with all of your tinctures and all the things.
it too.
How do you have any tips, or how do you maneuver through traveling?
I haven't traveled that much in the past few years since I've become so enlightened, but I would say just do your research as far as like knowing which area that you're going to and knowing like which stores are, you know, close to you ahead of time. You know, if you're going to be at a hotel, maybe talk to the concierge. You know, like you know they can give you tips as far as, you know, like which grocery stores, especially with services. You know, like Instacart and Uber Eats, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that you'll be able to find something, but I know that going out with family to eat, to restaurants, and traveling can be, you know, those things that get you off track. But um, you know, just stay the course, to stay vigilant, you know, stay on point, you know, with what you're doing and on purpose with what you're doing. Um, I'm trying to think. 'Cause I really don't. I haven't traveled with my kids. And I haven't really traveling myself, honestly. Well, I went on a cruise in January, and I mean my mindset is pretty steadfast no matter where I go, you know. So I was gonna eat healthy regardless, and I pretty did. I pretty much did. Um, you know, even there. So have my coconut waters and, you know, things like that. But yeah, I would just say like just doing your research in this day and age. But there's so many resources available to us, you know, that I don't think that it would be too hard to be able to stay the course. It's just a part of being disciplined to stay the course.
I know for myself, we travel quite often, and that is the time. First off, traveling is really hard on your body, right? Traveling can be really hard on your body. So if you're not eating properly and you're traveling and you get the time difference,
Because your body's
it
down.
yeah, it can be really difficult. But one of the things that we do when we land is we find out where the nearest health food store is, nice grocery store where we can pick up our fruits, right? We can pick up our veggies. I'm searching for the closest juice spot, right? I'm doing all of that. And I go to the grocery store and people are like, you mean you traveling and then you cooking? Listen, the hotel will provide you with forks and knives. They will provide you with pots and pans. Normally there's a kitchenette, right? They will bring you a refrigerator if it's not one already in the room.
Look,
They are really, really helpful when it comes to that type of thing. But you have to ask for
yeah.
it a lot, you know?
I was gonna say now. I know there's ways that I just saw like this portable cooker yesterday, and I swear it was like in the box that was like this big, but you pulled it out and it was like a whole thing. So I'm sure they have like, portable butane cookers and stuff. So I mean, even if you're staying in a place that doesn't have, well, I don't know about that, but like there's ways that you could plan around, to be able to cook on site, especially if you're staying somewhere for a long time. Like they have portable cookers, that are like small enough and compact that you could just like plug in or throw a butane in, and get one pot. You can do a lot with magic with one pot.
You can. I remember when we first started out on this journey traveling, especially if we were driving, I would always take my pressure cooker
Yeah,
and I would just veggie it up in my pressure cooker and like people that we were with, other couples, they would walk by our room. They're like, Crystal, what are you in there cooking? Listen, I have a whole meal ready
yeah,
to go, or my crock pot or whatever. But I don't, flying and things like that. I don't take that kind of stuff. But sometimes for us, it's even worth it to hit up the local Target or Walmart, get us a cheap little $20 crock pot, put our food in there, and come back at the end of the day, and we know that if throughout the day we didn't get something that we like, then we
yeah.
at least have something here, right? I'll go and chop up a salad, like I'll purchase a knife, we'll purchase all kind of fruit, everything, and we know that we're going to chop it up when we get back home, or I can take it with us. Yeah.
No,
So
yeah,
so it's really there's ways to work through traveling and eating healthy. Yeah.
right.
So I have one last thing for you, Ashanti. Um, if you earlier you talked about, well, we've been talking about researching through the whole show. If someone were to ask you for resources or a book to research to enhance their personal knowledge,
Mm,
you have one particular book or a couple of books that have changed your life or impacted you that you would like to share?
yes. So, Sacred Woman by
Queen of Four.
Nassau. That book has changed my life, honestly. It really
Yes.
right there enlightened me a lot. And then Dr. Sebi's, he has a few of them, honestly. It's Dr. Sebi's, I believe it's called Food, Food, Foods That Heal or
Yes.
something. But that book, those two books right there brought a lot of insight to me. And I found both of those books on Amazon.
Yeah, you can find them on Amazon. You can find them at Half Price Bookstore. You can Kindle them. You can all the audio books. You can do all of that. So there's really no excuse for not being able to do your research.
Not at all, not at all. And then I also have a juicing book on my website.
Okay.
You can actually go and buy that for just a few bucks, but it has a ton of different juices that you can actually.
And
You
what is your website?
it's Chef in Heels, Chef in Heels, Woman's Prayer Hills with a Z.com, and you can it's on the product store, on the Kid Hills Kitchen store. But yeah, you can buy that book, and it has a ton of different, um, just juicing recipes, on there.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Ashanta. I really enjoyed talking to you tonight. You dropped a lot of good information. Hopefully, the audience takes this information and rolls with it, y'all. If you're looking for juicing recipes, you can check it out on Ashanti's website, chefandheels.com. Uh, there are some juicing recipes. Juicing recipes are the easiest, right? What do you like?
I do. I honestly like fruity things, but it just depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get some good veggie intake. But honestly, my favorite thing is a pineapple watermelon juice with a little bit of mint. It is so invigorating in whatever season that you're in. The pineapple really just saturates your body. It makes me feel like a plant when I drink it. I feel all the nourishment go everywhere. So that was absolutely my favorite drink of all time.
Pineapple is an amazing healer,
Mm-hmm.
especially, if you feeling in a fog or a funk or anything like that. Pineapple is an amazing healer.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use this time. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said I put up with it all the time.
Yeah. So I'm going to use this time to thank our sponsor, JPC Invites, once again. Um, I really appreciate JPC Invites. And I appreciate you, Ashanti, for coming on, spending your evening with us.
Thank you so much, Crystal, for having me. It's been so amazing.
It is my pleasure. You all, I hope you have a beautiful evening, and we will see you all next time.